Hello. In this video lesson, I will discuss the meaning of economies of scale and its importance for international trade. So, in economics, we define economies of scale in terms of the unit cost and how it responds to the scale of production. So consider this figure on this slide. So we have on this slide on the horizontal axis we have output increasing to the right, and then on the vertical axis we have the average cost. We could say that cost per unit or unit cost. And this gray curve is LRAC, so that refers to long run average cost. So economies of scale, at least in the most micro level, that relates to the production technology. So production function can exhibit economies of scale, but it can also depend on this kind of pricing power and many factors. I will discuss that in more detail in the next video lesson. But mainly this, if there are economies of scale, it means that that as the output increases, the cost per unit comes down, like in this figure, at least in the early at relatively low output levels. In this figure, then this long run average cost curve becomes upward sloping after point Q2. And this would mean that there are diseconomies of scale. So it is not necessary that this average cost decreases indefinitely. So there can be a region there can be some range of output where the unit costs are decreasing, and then after certain threshold, the unit cost can start to increase again. So there can be first economies of scale, and then after certain point, then the economies become diseconomies of scale. So diseconomies of scale is like opposite to the economies of scale. So how is then economies of scale related to international trade? So there are many connections, in fact. Now, first of all, it's good to observe that if we open up for free trade, then the market size itself increases. So obviously an integrated international market is bigger than any individual national market. So this can give an incentive for countries to specialize in producing a more narrow range of products than it would in the absence of trade, and therefore utilize the economies of scale. And notice that also by importing goods, then the consumers do not need to suffer from the specialization, but each country can simultaneously specialize in a more narrow range of goods, but also then enjoy a large variety of goods for consumption. So notice that, or recall from this trade models, such as the Heckscher-Lean model that we discussed in previous video lessons, that for example, Heckscher-Lean model assumes away economies of scale basically by building on the assumption of constant returns to scale. So if we think about the economies of scale and specialization in more detail, so here on this slide I have on the left panel I have this kind of a figure that we have introduced before, where we have this kind of convex production possibility set, which is curved away from the origin. So remember that this curvature came from these diminishing returns in the production functions. And remember that in this specific factors model, I was emphasizing that the capital stock was taken as fixed in the short run, and there was not possible to reallocate capital from one industry to another. However, if we have economies of scale, so what if the production function is not concave, but it can be convex? So if we have economies of scale, then the situation might look like in this right panel of this slide. So we could have this kind of non-convex production possibilities at least at certain endowments of production factors. And obviously, if the production possibility frontier looks like this, so if the production possibility set is non-convex, it would give incentive for country to specialize in the production of of one good only, and depending on the world market prices, they would choose to produce either this good or this good. So economies of scale, at least if they're very significant, they can give rise to this kind of non-convexities and lead to this kind of highly specialized solution. So this is one reason why the economies of scale are also very important for the kind of for a country's supply schedule, and specialization. Then one question about economies of scale that we will discuss in more length in the following lectures is at which scale the economies of scale actually occur. So in principle, if we start from the most micro level, then economies of scale might require that we build a very large plant or establishment. So the economies of scale might occur at this kind of establishment level. And of course, a large firm can consist of multiple plants and multiple establishments. So it's not at least immediately self-evident that economies of scale from the plant level would also carry over to the firm level that consists of multiple plants. If the economies of scale come more from this kind of managerial or organizational factors, or for example, the pricing power, then economies of scale could actually be more relevant at the firm level. So even if at the plant level there might be constant returns to scale, then at the firm level there might be still economies of scale. And both this kind of plant level and firm level are considered anyway internal economies of scale. So they are internal to the specific firm. Now then potentially there might be also external economies of scale, which are not limited to a single firm, but would be obtained at the industry level. So you might have some kind of industry clusters that benefit, where multiple firms benefit from this kind of close proximity to other firms of the industry. And then there could be also at the country level external economies of scale. So this is then the question that does a large country enjoy some kind of benefit over smaller countries, for example, due to its bigger market size. So these industry level and country level economies of scale are referred to as external economies of scale. So I will come back to these both types of economies of scales in the following video lessons, and I will start with the internal economies.